come stealing.
What if we told you 1976 wasn't just another year in rock history? It was a turning point, a time when guitars soared louder, lyrics cut deeper, and entire generations found their anthems. From the dusty highways of California to the packed arenas of Boston and Detroit, this was the year rock went widescreen. Bigger, bolder, and unforgettable. Today, we're counting down 12 iconic rock songs from 1976 that didn't just top the charts. They shaped memories, sparked revolutions, and still hit just as hard all these decades later. Number 12, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, Gordon Lightfoot. Who would have expected a 6-minute folk song about a ship that sank in Lake Superior to become a number 2 hit? Nobody. But that's exactly what happened with Gordon Lightfoot's The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
And later that night when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck.
The Edmund Fitzgerald was a massive freighter that sank in a storm on November 10th, 1975. All 29 crew members died, a tragedy that shook the Great Lakes region. Lightfoot read about it in Newsweek and was moved by the story. He spent months researching, reading newspaper clippings, interviewing people, wanting to honor the men who died.
1,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty.
The song is written in a medieval ballad style, telling the story verse by verse. The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they called Gitche Gumee.
Down came late and the breakfast had to wait when the gales of north.
Lightfoot's haunting voice carries the weight of the tragedy. The instrumentation sparse, guitars and bass, letting the story take center stage. When it was released in August 1976, sure, radio programmers were skeptical. 6 minutes folk, about a boat disaster, never gonna work. But listeners connected. The song climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100.
When the waves turned the minutes to hours.
It became Lightfoot's biggest hit and introduced his music to a new generation. The families of the crew members thanked Lightfoot for keeping their loved one's memory alive. The song is still played every year on the anniversary of the sinking. Gordon Lightfoot turned a tragedy into a timeless tribute and proved that great songwriting can transcend genre, length, and expectations.
Baby, break down.
Number 11, Breakdown, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Tom Petty was broke, frustrated, and on the verge of giving up. Then he wrote Breakdown. It was the debut single from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' self-titled first album. And it almost didn't happen. The song began as an extended jam that ran more than 7 minutes. The band would play it live, stretching it out, letting it breathe.
Breakdown. Go ahead, give it to it.
When they got into the studio, they had to condense it. Producer Denny Cordell helped them shape it into a radio-friendly 4 minutes without losing its groove.
Something inside you.
Mike Campbell's jangly guitar riff became instantly recognizable. Benmont Tench's organ added warmth, and Petty's voice carried the whole thing. The lyrics were direct, a plea to someone who's guarding their heart. It's all right if you love me. It's all right if you don't. Breakdown was released in the summer of 1976 and climbed slowly, eventually reaching number 40 on the Billboard Hot 100. Not a massive hit, but enough to get the band noticed. What really helped was FM radio. DJS loved the longer album version and played it constantly.
Can you see? Breakdown is alright.
The song became a staple of album-oriented rock stations. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers went on to become one of the most beloved American rock bands of all time. But Breakdown was where it all started. a song about vulnerability that broke down the walls between artist and audience. Number 10, Dream On, Aerosmith. Wait, Dream On came out in 1973, right? Yes, but here's the thing. It didn't become a hit until 1976. When Aerosmith released their self-titled debut album in 1973, Dream On barely made a dent, scraping the bottom of the Hot 100 at number 59. The band was frustrated. They knew it was good, but nobody was listening. Then in 1975, their third album, Toys in the Attic, took off, and radio stations started digging through their back catalog. They rediscovered Dream On.
Live and learn from fools and from saints.
Columbia Records re-released it as a single in early 1976, and this time it climbed all the way to number 6, a top 10 hit, 3 years after it was recorded. Steven Tyler wrote it when he was just a teenager, sitting at his father's piano in the family home. His dad was a classical musician, and Tyler grew up surrounded by music. The song reflected his dreams of making it big, mixed with the fear that it might never happen. Joe Perry's iconic guitar solo became one of rock's most recognizable moments. Simple, melodic, and perfectly placed. The song starts soft and builds into a powerhouse ending with Tyler's signature scream. That scream wasn't planned. Producer Jack Douglas just encouraged Tyler to go for it. Dream On proved that great songs don't have expiration dates. Sometimes they just need the right moment to be heard. Number 9, Fly Like an Eagle, Steve Miller Band. Steve Miller had been grinding since the late 1960s with solid albums and decent sales, but no breakout moment until 1976. Fly Like an Eagle wasn't just a hit, it was a statement, a cosmic synth-driven anthem about time, freedom, and social justice. Miller wrote it as a reflection on inequality and poverty. Time keeps on slipping into the future. The song had a hypnotic groove, layers of synthesizers, and a message that felt both personal and universal. What's interesting is that Miller recorded it years earlier, sitting on the track since 1973, refining it, waiting for the right moment. When he finally released it as the title track of his 9th studio album, it exploded. The song hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, kept from the top spot only by Rod Stewart's Tonight's the Night. The album went on to sell over 5 million copies. Miller's blend of blues, rock, and space-age production created something fresh that felt like the future, but rooted in the past. Critics called it cosmic blues. Radio couldn't get enough of it. Decades later, Fly Like an Eagle has been sampled by Seal in his 1997 hit of the same name and featured in countless films and commercials. Steve Miller finally got his moment, and he made it soar.
If you leave me now, you take away the bed.
Number 8, If You Leave Me Now, Chicago. This was the moment Chicago traded brass blasts for something more tender, and it struck a chord worldwide. Built around Peter Cetera's smooth, soaring vocal, If You Leave Me Now marked a shift in the band's sound. The horns were still there, but now they floated behind soft acoustic guitars, strings, and a melody designed to linger. Cetera wrote it quickly, almost casually, at home messing around on guitar when the melody came to him. The lyrics flowed naturally, a plea from someone terrified of losing love. If you leave me now, you'll take away the biggest part of me. Simple, direct, devastating. Producer James William Guercio recorded it at Caribou Ranch in Colorado. The band had been moving toward a softer, more commercial sound, and some fans felt betrayed, but millions more fell in love. The track became their first #1 single, topping charts around the globe. It won 2 Grammys. Best Pop Vocal Performance and Best Arrangement Accompanying Vocalist. It wasn't just popular, it redefined what Chicago could be. The song sold over 1 million copies in the US alone and became one of the most played soft rock songs of the decade. For many listeners, this song became the soundtrack to heartbreak, slow dances, and quiet reflection. And even now, it still carries that unmistakable mix of sweetness and ache. Number 7. Don't Fear the Reaper. Blue Öyster Cult Mortality. Love, a heart condition. And yes, that cowbell.
Come on, baby, don't fear the reaper. Baby, take my...
Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Öyster Cult became 1976's most haunting masterpiece. Lead guitarist Buck Dharma wrote it in his early 20s after being diagnosed with an irregular heartbeat. He started thinking about death and fate. The opening riff came to him out of nowhere, followed immediately by the first 2 lines. When they got to the record plant in New York City, hype producer David Lucas made one suggestion: add cowbell. Drummer Albert Bouchard wrapped the cowbell in gaffer tape, grabbed a timpani mallet, and played it soft enough to stay in the background, though to this day, there's debate about who actually played it. That cowbell became legendary thanks to Saturday Night Live's 2000 sketch with Christopher Walken. I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. The sketch became more famous than some of their other songs. Don't Fear the Reaper peaked at number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 and spent 20 weeks on the chart. Rolling Stone named it Song of the Year in 1976. The lyrics reference Romeo and Juliet, which led some to think it was about suicide. Dharma clarified it's about eternal love transcending death. The song appeared in John Carpenter's Halloween in 1978 and has been featured in countless films and TV shows since. Don't Fear the Reaper isn't just a song. It's a meditation on mortality that refuses to die. Number 6. The Boys Are Back in Town. Thin Lizzy. Few songs capture the feeling of returning to familiar streets like this one. Thin Lizzy had already weathered lineup changes and near misses, but this track was the breakthrough. The Boys Are Back in Town was a swaggering guitar-driven anthem that radiated confidence. The thrill of reunion, the chaos of youth, and the electricity of one unforgettable night. Phil Lynott wrote it about guys he knew growing up in Dublin. Real people, real stories. The characters in the song weren't fictional. They were friends from his neighborhood who'd left town and come back with stories to tell. The twin guitar harmonies from Scott Gorham and Brian Robertson became the band's signature, melodic, locked in, and endlessly influential. Bands like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest studied those harmonies and built entire careers on that sound. Frontman Phil Lynott delivered it all with a poet's heart and a fighter's cry. Half black, half Irish, Lynott was an outsider in the rock world, but his lyrics had a street-level authenticity that resonated worldwide. Here's the crazy part. It was never meant to be the single. The label picked it almost as an afterthought, thinking Jailbreak would be the big hit. But once it hit the airwaves in spring 1976, it took off like wildfire, peaking at number 12 in the US. Decades later, it's shorthand for freedom, rebellion, and the unbeatable feeling of coming home to your people. Number 5. Detroit Rock City. Kiss. By 1976, Kiss had already mastered the spectacle, fire, makeup, and mayhem. But this track proved they had the songwriting chops to match the show. Detroit Rock City kicks off Destroyer, their boldest and most ambitious album to date. Inspired by a real-life fan tragedy, the song blends adrenaline with reflection. A young fan had died in a car accident on the way to a Kiss concert. The band turned that tragedy into an anthem about living fast and the risks that come with it.
12 o'clock, I gotta rock.
Producer Bob Ezrin, fresh off work with Alice Cooper, pushed the band harder than ever. He added layered arrangements, sound effects, and a cinematic touch that turned the track into more than just a concert staple. The song opens with the sound of a car radio, screeching tires, and a crash. Then explodes into one of the heaviest riffs Paul Stanley ever wrote. Ezrin brought in an orchestra for the album. He made Kiss sound bigger, more theatrical, more dangerous. The band initially resisted, thinking strings would soften their sound. But Ezrin knew better. Detroit Rock City became one of their signature songs. Live, it was explosive, with Gene Simmons breathing fire and Paul Stanley flying across the stage. For a group known for wild theatrics, this was a rare moment where the music burned just as brightly as the fire on stage.
At the end of the day, I take home my...
Number 4. Somebody to Love. Queen already had their masterpiece with Bohemian Rhapsody. But 1976 was the year they proved it wasn't a fluke.
Someday I'm gonna be free.
Somebody to Love opened with a question. Freddie Mercury alone at the piano asking plainly, "Can anybody find me somebody to love?" Mercury wrote it as a tribute to Aretha Franklin, whose gospel music he adored. Instead of hiring a choir, Mercury, Brian May, and Roger Taylor multi-tracked their own voices. They spent an entire week layering vocals, creating the illusion of a 150-voice gospel choir. What's fascinating is that bassist John Deacon didn't sing on the record. By his own admission, he didn't have the voice. This was Queen's first album without producer Roy Thomas Baker. They were on their own, and some worried the band couldn't maintain their momentum.
I just gotta get out of this.
But Somebody to Love proved otherwise. The song hit number 2 in the UK and number 13 in the US. Mercury believed this song was actually superior to Bohemian Rhapsody as a pure piece of songwriting.
Every day of my life, I work till I ache my...
Live, the song transformed. Mercury at the piano, spotlight cutting through the dark, letting the first line hang before the band joined him. Audiences didn't just sing along, they testified. It was church, it was rock and roll, it was Queen at their most vulnerable and most powerful. Number 3. Carry On Wayward Son. Kansas few songs walk the line between complexity and power, quite like this one. And for Kansas, it marked a breakthrough they'd been chasing for years. By 1976, the band had built a loyal following in the Midwest, but this track catapulted them onto the national stage. Carry On Wayward Son was a statement, a blend of classical complexity, prog ambition, and pure hard rock punch. Guitarist Kerry Livgren wrote it during a moment of personal searching. He'd been reading the Bible and religious texts, questioning his spiritual path. The lyrics reflected his journey from darkness to light, from confusion to understanding. It wasn't a religious song per se, but it was deeply spiritual. The band brought it to life with tight harmonies, shifting time signatures, and a riff that felt carved in stone. What made it stand out was its balance, philosophical weight delivered with stadium-sized swagger. Recording took place at Studio in the Country in Louisiana, with producer Jeff Glicksman capturing the band's raw energy. The violin parts from Robbie Steinhardt added an orchestral dimension that set Kansas apart from other prog rock bands. The song became their first top 40 hit, peaking at number 11. And decades later, it found new life as the theme song for Supernatural, introducing Kansas to an entirely new generation. Number 2, More Than a Feeling, Boston. When Boston released their debut album in 1976, few expected it to redefine the sound of arena rock.
I used to know. I closed my eyes.
But that's exactly what happened. At the heart of it was more than a feeling, a masterclass in production and melodic power. Tom Schultz, an MIT-trained engineer, recorded much of the track in his basement studio, layering guitar harmonies with surgical precision. Schultz was a perfectionist working with homemade equipment. He built his own guitar effects and recording gear because he couldn't afford professional studio time. The iconic guitar tone came from his self-designed power-soaked device. It took him years to get the sound he wanted. What made the song special wasn't just its pristine sound. It was the emotion buried beneath the polish. Singer Brad Delp's soaring vocals added the human element Schultz's engineering couldn't create alone. The song was actually rejected by several record labels before CBS finally signed them. When the album dropped in August 1976, it exploded. More Than a Feeling hit number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. The album eventually sold over 17 million copies in the US alone, making it one of the best-selling debut albums in history. It became a blueprint for power ballads and an entire generation of rock radio. Number 1, Hotel California, Eagles. There's a reason the song feels less like a track and more like a place. Released in December 1976, Hotel California became the Eagles' crowning achievement. A layered, slow-burning epic built on cryptic storytelling that captured an era drifting from innocence to indulgence. The guitar work alone made history. Don Felder and Joe Walsh crafted dual solos that danced between restraint and eruption. Recorded separately, but stitched together so seamlessly that it became one of rock's most iconic codas. But here's the wild part. Felder originally recorded a demo at his Malibu beach house, calling it Mexican Reggae. A year later, when it was time to record, Felder had forgotten what he'd played. He had to call his housekeeper in Los Angeles, who held a boombox up to the phone and played the cassette, while Felder frantically wrote it down in the Miami studio. And the lyrics were co-written by Henley and Frey, a dark meditation on excess in America. The line, "They stab it with their steely knives," was a playful jab at Steely Dan, who had referenced the Eagles the year before. It won the Grammy for Record of the Year in 1978. Four decades on, Hotel California isn't just remembered, it's revisited. A song that still invites listeners to lose themselves and wonder if they'll ever quite leave.
I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven or this could be hell.
That's 12 iconic rock songs from 1976. Each one a turning point, a breakthrough, a moment where everything clicked. From Queen's gospel-infused vulnerability to Kiss's theatrical fury. From Boston's basement engineering to Kansas's spiritual awakening. From the Eagles' dark desert highways to Gordon Lightfoot's Great Lakes tragedy. 1976 wasn't just another year. It was the year rock went widescreen. The year complexity met commerciality. In the year bands stopped playing it safe and started taking risks. How many of these songs defined your memories? Which one surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments below. And if you want to explore even more forgotten classics from the decade, check out the other videos on screen. Because the deeper you dig, the better it gets.